The following is a letter from Jim Selman written to a close friend.
Dear Vince, I got your level of shock. For what it's worth, this is how I've been handling it. I too was stunned. I went through Kubler-Ross's 5 stages of grieving, from denial to anger to rationalizing to depression, and finally acceptance in about 10 hours. I had a 2-hour conversation with some of other friends and was pleased that I've apparently grown in my capacity to sustain a positive mood in difficult or bad times. So I'm more or less calm and centered, and with this has come my giving up the endless negative assessments of Trump himself, which served no purpose. He is now a fact of life, and there's not much point in continuing to carp on how awful he is. Likewise, I've more or less put aside the scripts in my head of all the scenarios about what horrible things he can or will do. I'm basically appreciating Hillary's concession speech and standing in being a citizen. I despise the outcome, but love democracy more. I've now recovered my appreciation that America is still America, including its brilliance and its flaws, and we've been through a lot darker moments than this. I've also grown to appreciate that this is the first time in my life that my whole world has been turned upside down personally. 9/11 was close, but didn't touch me personally as this has. My father lived through World War II and the Great Depression, which clearly had people put their lives on hold with no guarantee that they'd get through it. 2/3 of humanity live under governments and despots far worse than anything Trump can hook up. We are still a nation of laws and have many checks and balances. Half of the nation still share my views, more or less, and I'm privileged to be one of the elites. So I'll wait and watch and try to stay open. If he tries to create a private army or worse, then perhaps I'll reconsider. I broke down emotionally on the phone talking to some friends the other day, not for fear of the future, but for the loss of my progressive vision, which in retrospect I can see how blind, how self-righteous, how smug, how arrogant I have been in disparaging almost any Republican, and for sure anyone who might see Trump as someone to vote for. I wasn't listening, and until after the election, I didn't really get their concerns. Now we need to have emotional fortitude. History and life doesn't move in a straight line. We need not fall prey to the ghosts of our humanity. Today I'm moving forward in a conversation with my higher power and saying the Serenity Prayer more often. I don't know what will happen, and I'm choosing to approach tomorrow in the spirit of adventure, akin to crossing the plains in a covered wagon. We are living history now and creating history as we go. I'm still reflecting on how I might participate, but in the meantime I'm choosing to love what is great about our country and that no one can destroy. And I'm also appreciating and grateful for my communities, including you, and committed to care about those I love. I'll not give my personal power to or become a victim of Trump or anyone. And I'm doing my best to practice what I preach in terms of consciously trying to choose how I will relate to coming events, including letting go of my historical addictions, especially my expectations and prejudices of how I think it should be. Thanks for sharing and asking the question of how I'm handling all this.